Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Consecrated podcast. I feel, I feel kind of vulnerable because our little brother. Oh, what did you think I was gonna... Wait, what do you think I feel vulnerable about?
You go ahead.
Hold on.
You go ahead.
You think I feel vulnerable about the water on my sweatshirt?
Yeah.
Before we started recording, I went to go drink my water bottle and it literally dripped.
She looked like a little kid. When little kids they need a bib because they just be dropping everything on their shirts.
I don't know how it happened.
She was drinking. She just opened her mouth and all the water just went.
No, it came out of my water bottle too. It was both.
Yeah, but the part that came out of your mouth was the craziest part.
I think I was so stunned at what was happening that I was like, yeah, anyway. Well, I don't feel vulnerable about that. What I do feel vulnerable about is that our little brother consistently is roasting me about our intros, about how they're so cheesy.
See, I didn't know that. He's right.
What?
He's
consistently roasting us about how cheesy our intros are, and he's literally sitting in the other room right now. And so as I started, I was
just make it extra cheesy then.
That's why I did it. That's why I made this intro extra cheesy. Didn't you hear me? I made it extra.
It sounded like every other one.
Dang. Well, thanks for watching this week's episode. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Well, maybe he can come up with a better intro for us.
Matter of fact, maybe he can be on an episode. I'm calling him out right now. Maybe he can be on an episode and then he can do the intro.
Do the intro for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe year 2 of the Consecrated podcast actually has an intro.
Remember we were talking about a jingle?
You were talking about a jingle.
Yeah.
You wanted the jingle to be the Father Abraham song.
Father Abraham.
Which I'm pretty sure we'd get copyrighted for.
We just talk so much about faith that it just feels right.
It fits. But I think we'd get copyrighted for that.
Even if you did like a lo-fi version, I'll just remix it a little bit.
So do you know how to make lo-fi versions?
AI, bro. That's all you need, right? Not tripping? Anyways.
What are we titling this beginning segment, or we just yap?
This is the sibling catch-up.
That doesn't really have a ring to it. We need something that has a ring to it. That's our beginning segment. Like podcasts these days. I know we're not like podcasts.
Apparently you gotta ask Monty.
I've gotten to a point of knowing you where I'll start to say something and I know what your counter argument is going to be. So halfway through saying what I was going to say,
what were you about to say?
I literally was going to say podcasts these days have segments, and you're going to say, well, we're
not like podcasts.
Exactly. That's literally what I was just about to say. And I know that, but this has become a regular segment where we just start and we yap for a little bit. Yeah. It's a natural segment. I don't know if people like the natural segment, but people have come back. Also, I've been looking at our stats because I love looking at our stats, and we've got some cool listeners from around the world.
Oh, you want to shout out some countries?
Let's shout out some countries. Let's shout out Rwanda.
Hey,
we got some people in Rwanda listening. We got some people in the Netherlands listening.
Oh,
we got some people in Canada. Canada listening.
Canadians. Maple syrup.
You just said the first thing that came to your head.
I was going to say for the Netherlands, the Dutch, right? That's what they're called. Dutch.
I don't want to sound ignorant, so I'm not going to say anything. I've been sounding ignorant a lot today. Where's another place?
I've been to Harlem. Harlem's beautiful. Okay.
I don't remember any other places. Maybe I'll be intentional about remembering the other places. Yeah. But I was literally looking at them last night. I was like, whoa, that's really cool.
Well, here's a prayer, Bifone. The prayer is, may Jesus raise up more consecrated hearts and burning hearts for himself and his kingdom in each of these countries. Yeah. Not just because of us, but just may he do it.
Yeah.
And may it be a sign that the hearts of the Rwandan and Dutch and Canadians and whoever else are starting to turn more towards Jesus.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, that's the whole reason we started all this. Yeah. Have consecrated burning ones all around the world.
Yeah.
Standing for Jesus and setting themselves apart for Jesus.
Yeah. Why limit it to the world? Other worlds. Aliens.
You're right. Aliens. Yeah. Mars. Matter of fact, throw the sun in there.
Come on now. We don't discriminate.
We
Love
don't.
Jesus, whatever you is.
We don't. We mean the S-U-N, but also the S-O-N. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
Moti, I know our little brother cringed in the other room about that. I know he just cringed. Another prayer request is that we someday convince him to be on this podcast.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
One day.
Anyways, welcome back to another episode. That concludes the beginning of our beginning segment.
Sibling chats.
That we haven't titled yet. I don't like sibling chats.
Just the interim name. Chill. It's just
interim name, yeah.
All right, cool.
As production, though, veto.
All right, cool. Till we get something better.
Till we get something that has a better ring to it. Anyway, Fedhii, I would love to hear, because I genuinely have not heard, I would love to hear what God
I'm
has
excited
put
to
on
talk
your
about
heart
this.
For this episode.
I am excited to talk about this subject. Let me get my notes out real quick. So we're getting to the end of the year recording this. Today is what, the 27th of December?
Yes. Well, this comes out in January.
I understand that. But for us today, it's getting to the end of the year.
Yes.
And I love to take the end of the year, just the subject of being consecrated. I love to consecrate the last few days of the year, whenever I can, to just be with God.
Yeah.
And so I'm right now kind of in this zone, in this spirit of consecration. Not that, we'll call this the Consecrated podcast, a consecrated life, right?
Right.
But it's special to be able to take a few days out of the year and just hand it completely over to Jesus. No working, no, all responsibilities are on hold, and just be with God. And that's about to start for me. And I was thinking about, the Lord started to speak to me a little bit about consecration. And he started to talk to me about how there are patterns and behaviors that invite the power and presence of God. Relationally, there are patterns and behaviors relationally that invite intimacy relationally. There are patterns and behaviors in God that invite the more of God.
Yeah.
And he started to talk to me about those. Okay. I'm about to really get fired up here. So I am going to reference what I wrote every once in a while.
Just to keep you on track.
Just to keep me on track.
Yeah.
But he started to talk to me about the practice of preparing yourself, meaning the practice of preparing yourself for the coming of the King. Okay? Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about wanting more of God. I want more of God. I want to experience the more of God. Today we're going to talk about how to get more of God.
Love it.
Okay?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Love it.
So there are ways to signal. As I was spending time with God on this, he was talking to me about how there are ways to signal to heaven that you are wanting and ready, and that you are ready for more. Mm-hmm. Okay? These are actions, not words. First off, there are patterns, ways of living that communicate to heaven that you're ready for more.
Yeah.
Okay? And the way that Jesus explained it to me was like this. He said, imagine that you and I sat down for dinner. We sat down for a meal. And I saw that you had shifty eyes. Okay? He said, do you think, observing that you had shifty eyes, I would prepare to open my heart and let you into the deep parts of my heart? And sitting there thinking about it, I will tell you personally, when I notice that the person I'm in conversation with has shifty eyes, it's basically like the conversation's wrapping up for me. Because it's like, why would I talk?
Why would I waste my breath?
Yeah. And so he was communicating that to me in a way that I could understand. He was saying, if we sat at dinner and you had shifty eyes, would I open my heart more to you? And for me, it's like, no, absolutely not. Right. And here's what he said. He said, you're right. He said, he said, my heart would be mishandled if I let you deeper in that state, while you're in that state. Okay? And then he said, instead, if we sat down to eat and your mind was clear, okay, and you were fully present with me, and your posture, your body language, all of that communicates your mind is clear and that you're fully present, he literally imparted to me this feeling in his heart that he feels. And it was like his heart was being drawn out when he saw that in me. He's painting hypothetical scenarios, right? Right. And he used this to illustrate to me the point, which is there are practices that draw God out, that draw him out. In the same way that there are practices that draw me out. Like when you're with me, there are ways that you can draw me out. In the same way I with you, the same thing happens with God. And I love that he explained it this way, because it was so easy for me to understand that this was the case, because the thing of experiencing more of God and being in him and being this place of union and connection with him sometimes can be this kind of like nebulous sort of concept. It's like, how do you attract God to you? But really, the inner workings of how God is drawn to you are not actually altogether different from the ways that we are drawn to one another.
Right. We're made in his image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when he explains it to me, he explained it to me in a way that I, as a firsthand person who had experienced that firsthand, I understood.
Yeah.
So then he took me into this. This has been happening, I guess, more recently for our podcast episodes. You know, as I'm preparing, sitting with him, he'll take me into these. I'm very visual, so he'll take me into these encounters where he'll show me and illustrate to me in what look like kind of like movies, I guess, visions, what he's trying to communicate. So this is what he showed me for this. So I asked the Lord, what then are the practices that draw you out? And this is how he responded. And I'm just going to read what I wrote. So I saw a picture of a home. I can see it even clearly now. I saw a picture of a home, and this home, looking at it, was saturated in God's presence. It was like even every blade of grass was alive in the lawn, and radiating the presence of God. It was like everything was alive. Everything about the house pointed up towards heaven. There were fountains in the back, and it was like God's presence was overflowing in the fountain. It just was like this. You could feel God resting richly on the property.
Yeah.
And there was no evidence. So I wrote here, I noticed that it was extremely clean. And there was no evidence of animals damaging the lawn or the landscaping. That was something that stood out to me. Like everything was pristine.
Yeah.
It was perfectly attended to. And then I look at the front door, and Jesus is standing there in the doorway.
Love that guy.
And looking at him, I was able to, and see, sometimes like visions, encounters like these, that you don't experience them the same way that you experience normal life. Like sometimes you look at people and you see things that you wouldn't see in the natural, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Jesus, and it's like I can see into his heart, and I can see how he had been drawn gradually into that house. That it was a gradual process. I could see that he was pulled in. Just if I were to grab your hand like this and slowly pull you in, it was like that. It was like he had gradually been drawn into that house, and now he was inside, standing in the doorway, looking out at me. So he was already in. He's already in the house. Okay. And then I looked. And I looked down at below his knees, and I noticed that his calves and his feet were covered in oil, like they had been anointed in oil. And looking at him, it was clear that the owner of the home had shown Jesus a great deal of hospitality and honor. And this part was really interesting now. After that, I looked down at my own self. I was standing on the property now. I looked down at my own self, and it, also for me, below my knee, my calves and my feet, I saw oil beginning to build up on my own calves and my feet. That part I don't know how to just explain. I don't know why. I don't know how that ties in. But I personally had oil on my own calves and feet. And immediately I thought to myself, looking down, I said to myself, this is a holy place. And as I was reflecting on this property, as powerfully and palpably and intimately I knew the presence of God on that property, with that same amount of intimate knowledge, I knew that God was going to pour himself out in even greater measure continually on that house. He was already powerfully present there, but there was, with the same amount of confidence that I knew that he was powerfully there, I also knew he was going to pour out in even greater measure than he had up until that point. Okay? So I'm invited inside, and I step inside, and I look in the walkways around the house. The places that got a lot of traffic, I saw were worn down. Worn down as though it was like a trail that had a lot of foot traffic. But instead of a trail, it was the inside of a house. And I looked and I saw whatever had worn down the pathways were not actually human feet. The part that was worn was much more narrow, and it was paws that had worn down the pathways, not human feet. I could tell by the way that the wear on the floor looked. Okay?
Inside the house.
Inside the house. And whatever they were, I wrote here, whatever they were small. And they had made their way continually to and fro through the house. You could almost feel like they had been moving recently throughout the house. Whatever they were, they had moving, whatever animals they were small and they were moving throughout the house constantly.
Yeah.
Okay? And it was evident to me, observing this, that they were the ones that were responsible for making the house what it was. These little animals that were going back and forth throughout the house.
You mean in terms of the saturated presence of God?
Yes. It was clear to me instinctively. I knew that they were the homemakers. Okay. They were responsible for making the house the way that it was. By looking at the paths on the ground, I just knew. So now, I saw the homeowner. I look over and I see the homeowner, and he's standing next to a pantry full of food for these small animals. And looking over there, the pantry stocked with food, and the homeowner has a great degree of intent to continue feeding these animals and nourishing them and providing them with whatever they need so that they can continue to do their job.
Okay.
Okay. Are you with me so far? Okay. Now, both the Lord, Jesus, and the homeowner are in this kitchen area with me. And I look over at them. And I inquired, I wrote here, I inquired of the Lord and the homeowner, what were these animals? And then they said to me in unison, they said, without them, this house could not exist. And then they continued to say, they are rodent killers. They find and kill rodents. And both looking at me, they said to me, now you get some. And smiled, like get some of these animals.
Okay.
And smiled at me. And that was the end.
Okay.
That was the end of the encounter. So I'm sitting there and I'm processing this with the Lord, and I'm reflecting on what he was communicating through that. Reflecting. He starts talking to me about how these small animals. Do you remember how I said towards the beginning that the lawn and the landscaping looked like it had not been touched at all by any wild animal?
Yeah.
These small animals, you could consider them like either cats or dogs. It doesn't matter. But these hunted rodents. These hunted the little critters, the rodents that would be otherwise running rampant throughout the house, destroying the lawn, the landscaping, the interior of the house, whatever. And making a mess of that property, preventing it from being a comfortable place. Okay? And then the Lord took me to the Song of Solomon. I thought of this, the Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 15. And it says, catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom. So here's what I believe the Lord's looking to say by this. I can tell you that the gravitational pull that Jesus felt from this house, which was dedicated to feeding and providing nourishment to these animals that were killing the rodents. And I'll stop talking in parables in a second, but I'm just gonna wrap this part up really quick. The gravitational pull was palpable. His already existing presence was palpable. The gravitational pull was also palpable. It was clear he showed up because of that person's practices, and that this person was also going to experience the more of God because of those same practices. Now let me talk about the animals, the small animals and the rodents, and the foxes that spoil the vineyards. When Jesus sees in us a great degree of intent to identify and eliminate anything within us that could spoil our love for him, that communicates something to him. In the same way that if I sit and I look at you with a clear mind and my eyes are not shifty, I'm looking straight into your eyes as you're talking to me, that communicates something to you about how I'm ready for you to open up and share with me whatever is on your heart. In the same way, when I hunt down the things in my life that are eating away at the corners of my heart, dulling my sensitivity or my affection for Jesus, that communicates something to the Lord. That says something to him.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, God, I want more of you. It's another thing to eliminate the things that could prevent me from experiencing the more of God. Okay? This is where we start to get into, I love the fact that this passage is in the Song of Solomon, because it's a story of lovers.
Yeah.
It's like a love poem, basically written back and forth between two people. Listen to this. Pooh, I know. Listen to this.
It's so hard to hold it in.
There is no other context that I can think of, at least right now, which is a better place to illustrate this subject of jealous protection of your affection. We understand that intuitively, like in a relationship, like we understand. It's easier in the context of a romantic relationship to understand exclusivity, right? Like that makes sense. That is something that is easier for us to grasp and understand. And God takes a romantic relationship on earth, this thing that we can understand, and then maps his relationship with us onto it to communicate something to us. To say, if you understand that I'm jealous for you and you're jealous for your own self the same way that I'm jealous for you, you'll experience more of me. Because you are chasing out and killing anything that stands in the way of me entering in further.
Yeah.
Your chasing out the rodents is saying to me, Jesus, come further in. That's what he's saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's saying when you identify and eliminate, destroy these rodents, you are simultaneously in that action saying to me, Jesus, I'm making room for you to enter further in. So I think what he's wanting for us to get into right now is there is a side, like, I shouldn't even say side. Consecration does not exist without this sort of ferocious and unrelenting desire to eliminate all rodents. Consecration does not exist otherwise.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us, I think we've touched on this subject in the past. A sure way to experience more of God is to give something, right? That's how we've said it in the past.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We've talked about this subject in the past.
Sacrifice, yeah.
Yeah. You want to experience more of God? Give something up.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Here's another angle through which to view that. I was talking with somebody recently who was experiencing some hardship. And this person was experiencing hardship. It became evident as I was talking to them that they were experiencing hardship. And a lot of this had to do with some processing that God was doing in them, bringing up things that needed to be addressed.
Yeah.
And as this person was looking at all these things that needed to be addressed, it began to seem insurmountable in some ways, and they were really shocked by the number of things that needed to be addressed in them, and it started to kind of catch them in this swirl of, a lot of their time with God started to turn into this like, God, how do you want to work through these issues and these problems together? Mm-hmm. Like starting out in the right heart, but then this person sort of got wrapped up in the issues. Mm-hmm. And then at one point I was praying for this person. I said, God, what is the deal here? Because it seems to me that you are the one pointing out the problems. You are pointing out the places of pain so that they'd be healed and this person would move forward. So what's the problem? Why is this person feeling stuck right now? Mm-hmm. And then I was reminded of the fact that we were made as a being to worship.
Yeah.
We were made to look at something.
Yeah.
And just as it says that you cannot serve two masters, I can only look at and adore properly one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And my heart will, by the way, start to mold in the direction of the thing that I adore. Mm-hmm. So the more that I look at something, the more I get wrapped around it. The more I look at my problems, the more I get wrapped around my problems.
Yeah.
The more I look at Jesus, the more I get wrapped around Jesus. And this, it's like you are living inside. And the inside of who you are, your spirit, your soul wraps around it, like it responds to what you're adoring by wrapping itself around it. Mm. New thought patterns start to emerge. And then you find yourself spinning through those thought processes frequently, right? Whether in the direction of problems or in the direction of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, as I was reflecting on this, it made this concept of the importance of eliminating rodents much more clear to me. If the point here is that I am to sit and look into the eyes of Jesus, mm-hmm. not shifty-eyed, but just clear mind, look into his eyes. Yeah. If that's the objective, then I have to eliminate whatever would stand in the way of me doing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as I do that, I'm communicating to the Lord with every action. I'm saying, I'm clearing the way for you to enter further into this house. Mm-hmm. And that, as I was observing, is an activity that continues for a long time. Mm. These dogs, I'm going to call them dogs. They remained fed. I actually saw one of them at one point, and it had like fangs and like a muscular back, mm-hmm. and a kind of a wider frame, long fangs, and it would catch the rodents in its teeth, and it would, you know how animals will shake to like kill their prey or whatever.
Yeah.
And the pantry was stocked full. There are a lot of things about this that we could get into. The pantry was stocked full, prepared always to feed these animals which were chasing down the rodents. What is Jesus communicating this? He's saying, put energy and intentionality into pinpointing the rodents, pinpointing the foxes in the vineyard, and then kill them.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Kill the rodents. Remove these things from your life.
Because that in itself is an act of affection.
Yes.
You're proving further affection and devotion to him.
Yes. The thing that was most prominent to me about that homeowner,
the
owner of the property, which God's presence rested heavily on, in a powerful way.
Yeah.
The thing that was most prominent to me about that person was that he had a pantry full of food prepared to feed the dogs that were killing the rodents.
That would make the place more comfortable for Jesus.
Yes. Now reflect for a second on the fact that we had oil. Oil showed up on my own calves and feet. Yeah. Oil showed up on Jesus's calves and feet. It was evident that he was brought in with a warmth and hospitality and honor that it drew him. It showed up on him. It showed up on me. I wonder if that's the reason he had it show up on me. It was like, nobody was like applying the oil on my legs. They just showed up. It was a side effect of another activity.
Yeah.
Is this making sense?
Yeah.
We have a notion, I think, of what it means to seek God. I think we have a notion of what it means to seek God, to pray and to fast, and to chase after him. I believe that God is wanting to develop in us a unrelenting, like hunting, like instinct.
Like a zealousness?
Like a dog. Like a dog that looks for, you ever see those hunting dogs where the dudes will like shoot the birds and then the dogs are just waiting? You ever see those videos where they're just waiting to run out and like find the bird that was just shot out of the air?
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of eager, just ferocity. Is that the word? Like it's like this ferocious hunger to go and find and remove these things. To see, it is to seek God. But listen, it's not to seek God in the way that we understand it often to seek God.
Yeah.
Because what does this mean for me to seek out these things and kill them? Right? Like, what does it mean to seek out the rodents? Like, the picture makes sense, but how do I do it? It's I'm finding the things inside of me that make me an uncomfortable place for the presence of God to dwell. And I, with eagerness, eliminate them.
Yes. Yeah.
It's if I find myself in a situation where somebody's asking something of me and I do not want to give to them because I want to keep what I consider mine, I remember the scriptures that say, to the one that asks of you, give. Yeah. And give without asking for anything in return. So I've observed a rodent crept up into my mind, and it was inviting me to take an action based off of that thought.
Yeah.
That thought was moving me in the direction of something else. I would begin to wrap around, in this case, selfishness or stinginess or whatever it is. I would wrap and with every action, I'm wrapped more and more around this kind of behavior, right? That's a rodent. A rodent ate away at my garden there, and I just let it in.
Yeah.
And so as it gets let in, it just keeps on going until the garden, which is my inner world, is no longer bearing the fruit that it was meant to bear.
And it's not a warm, hospitable place for Jesus.
So let me just say this, like one example of this is sometimes here's what I like to do. If I'm in a situation and I'm being challenged by a sinful or flesh-based thought to behave in a way which I know is not God, sometimes I'll behave in the opposite way just to
kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I may not entirely feel like, okay, this is the thing that I want to do in this moment. I want to give to this person. Right. I might not actually feel that way. Or like, whatever it is. Like I
borrowing your car recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
So you asked me to borrow my car. Not a lot of people ask me to borrow my car.
I don't think, yeah.
I don't think you've ever asked me to borrow my car, and you didn't even ask me actually. Moti asked. Yeah. Our little brother asked.
Yeah. To pick him up from school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm sitting there and I have the rodent of, but my car, like, man, like, it's not like they're so silly thoughts. Like, they're like, it's like, this is not like what is this, like a bus? It's not like public transportation where you can just take my car and use it wherever you want. And then they're going to bring it back without like, it's going to be on empty when they bring it back. And then it's going to be dirty and like, more worn. They're going to drive it 3 hours and all this stuff. All these are rodents that come up in me, and they're asking me to prepare my garden a certain way, to keep, or in this case, not keep my garden in a certain way. Each thought is it good or is it bad? Is it a rodent that eats away, or is it a fox that eats away at the vineyards, or is it towards God?
Yeah.
If you are observing that a thought might be originating in the flesh, what Jesus is looking for is for you to target these thoughts and do not act according to what they are inviting you to act.
Don't feed them. Yeah.
Don't feed them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and there's a timer.
And so you actively chose.
And so in that moment, I knowing A, what God was asking me to do, and B, that the opposing thoughts were coming from the flesh.
Yeah.
I took this as an opportunity to strangle a rodent.
Yeah.
I'm strangling the rodent. Old ways of thinking, like I picture like neural pathways,
yeah,
and like energy like flowing through them.
Yeah.
And it's
there's some sort of show we used to watch when we were younger where the intro is a brain.
You see like the light going through these. I think it's like
Jimmy Neutron or something.
Yeah. I kind of picture that, and I picture when you strangle one, it's like the amount of activity slows. It doesn't necessarily cut off, but it's like it's less bright. And then it stops eventually. As you cut it and kill 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 it, and then it stops.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of zealous, you said zeal earlier.
Yeah.
This is the sort of zeal that I believe Jesus is looking for in us.
Yeah.
You want to invite God more? Eliminate the things that are not God in you.
Yeah, that don't look like God.
Yeah.
Or that could not make him comfortable to dwell in your home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, you might say to me, well, Fedhii, how do I eliminate the things that are not God? Is it not God himself that eliminates these things? Mm-hmm. But you also must understand that in a relationship, like, how can you say, Fedhii, you should sit and listen to me? If you want a better relationship, you should fix your eyes on me and focus on me with a clear mind so that when I speak, I feel like you're actually fully listening to me. And then I might say, well, don't I love you? Shouldn't this originate from the love that overflows in me for you? Yes, this is true. Yes, it is God that does it, and yes, it's propelled by love. But there are activities that channel that love.
Yeah.
There are conscious decisions that we make throughout our life which position our hearts in his direction. They take us and they turn us.
Yeah.
They turn us towards him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And these conscious decisions that we take over and over and over again, they're in one direction or another. We talk about this all the time. They're in one direction or another. Now, what he's saying specifically today is when the rodents peek their heads up, send the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Send the dogs so that your home becomes a more comfortable resting place. And yes, God's presence comes in. It's a reinforcing thing in which you are experiencing the power and the presence of God, which influences you more in the direction of God. And it's a cycle that perpetuates itself. Yes, it's a good thing. There's cycles that perpetuate both ways. One towards light and the other darkness. So yes, it's true that God does it. But your decision making being, I will find and eliminate the foxes, communicates to God that your garden is for nobody but him.
Yeah.
And takes and draws him in with a gravitational pull.
Yeah.
So if you want to experience more of God, clear the way for him to enter in. I believe is a tried and true way to experience more of God.
I have so many thoughts, but our camera's about to die. Okay, super quick.
Yes.
What I hear you talking about is basically not being a passive lover.
Yes.
But being an intentional lover.
Yes.
And there's a difference in relationship that you can feel even in your earthly relationships when you are passively loving somebody or when you're intentionally loving somebody. And God is drawn to an intentional lover who will clear the path for him, make space for him, make a place that is comfortable for him that will draw him out more and experience more of him. Because just like we love to be loved intentionally, we are a reflection of our creator.
Yes.
And we are made in God's image.
Exactly.
And so whatever ways that we like to intentionally receive love, where did it come from? Him. You know, he's the originator of that.
Right.
So if you're looking to draw him out in love, be intentional in your love. Don't be a passive lover.
Exactly.
Okay, it's also so funny that we're talking about this right now because, which tends to happen when we talk about podcasts, when one of us comes with a podcast topic, the other person's like, oh my gosh, God and I were talking about this. That was me imitating your voice, by the way.
Oh, cool. Thank you. That's great.
Kidding.
That's okay.
I'm kidding. Anyway, in the topic of denying other things as an intentional act of affection for the Lord. I was watching a video the other day. I don't remember the name of the video, but basically she was talking about sin. And she was talking about how this woman was talking about how out of her affection for Jesus and out of the level of pain that she feels it causes Jesus to sin, she has decided to actively stop sinning, not because she doesn't love the sin, but because she loves Jesus more. And it's not worth having Jesus feel the pain that he does when she sins. Yeah. And it's not worth the separation that comes for a little bit after she sins. Yeah. And I could point as that being like a rodent that you're talking about in the house, outside of our house, you know, like the rodent of sin. It's one thing to deny sin out of obedience, right? It's one thing to actively deny sin because it's the obedient thing to do. Right. It's another thing to deny sin because you feel the way that it breaks God's heart and you feel the separation that it causes you from him. And out of your affection for him, you're like, I don't want this anymore. Yeah. I don't want you to feel this way. I don't want separation from you. Yeah. So I'm actively going to choose to strangle that rodent. Yeah. I'm actively going to choose not to do that out of affection. Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing you say of like, to be an intentional lover. Yeah. You're denying other loves in order to make more space and fuel your love for the one. Right? Like we do this in natural relationships too, but now just applying it to God. Yeah. Like whenever you're in an intimate relationship with someone, you're married to someone, you have to actively choose that person every day. Yeah. It's not that the absence, there's not because there's an absence of other lovers. Like there's not an absence of other people. Right. But it's in the presence of other people, you're still actively choosing that person. Exactly. And saying, I will do whatever I need to do to continue to choose you, even in the presence of other lovers that there are that could take my attention, that could take my affection. I'm going to continue to choose you and make sure you feel comfortable and loved in this relationship and cherished in this relationship. And it's just doing the same to God. Exactly. And the other lovers are the rodents in the field. The other lovers are the sin. The other lovers are whatever takes your gaze. Like I'm basically just regurgitating what I just heard you say. And it's great. This is a great way of saying it because in that light, you're understanding it through the lens of towards God. And I'm saying that's a great way of putting it because then you're putting it through the lens of why is this a relational decision? Because I'll tell you, like, it doesn't look like in the picture, in the vision, that person wasn't necessarily like interacting with Jesus whenever he was feeding these dogs who were going and chasing down and killing these rodents. Yeah. It didn't look like an activity that was in the direction of Jesus because he was targeting something else. Yeah. Right? But the way that you paint it like that's a better way of painting it and saying, you're choosing Jesus, or let me put it the other way. You're not choosing the other. Yeah. Is you choosing Jesus. Choosing. And that's why he like receives that love from that decision. Yeah. That's why he's drawn in from like, okay, here is my child whom I dearly love and gave everything for. And this one not only tells me that they love me and that they want to be closer with me and that they are willing to remove everything else so that I would enter in. But here they are actually removing everything else so that I can enter in. Yeah. And so you going and targeting and saying, making a decision to say, this thing is eating away at the corners of my heart and it is cooling my love for Jesus. Yeah. This activity, this relationship, this whatever it is, behavior is cooling my affection for Jesus. And I don't want that to happen. Yeah. So you're saying no to that thing is you saying yes to Jesus. Right. So it ultimately is, and that's why I like the way that you illustrated it, because you are choosing him when you are saying no to these other things. Yeah. When you're saying no to sin, you're saying yes to Jesus, because I love Jesus more than these other things. Right. I suppose he's just widening our definition or our vantage point or viewpoint on what it actually does mean to love him. Mm. And to hate and target darkness and to remove it utterly from your life is a way of demonstrating to him that you belong to him and him alone. Yeah. And so you doing that is even more effective than you saying, God, I want more of you. You can earnestly and sincerely say, God, I want more of you. But your actions the saying is true, they speak louder than your words. Yeah.
And so your activity of going and seeking out the darkness and eliminating it from your life so that there would be more room made for the light communicates to heaven that you're ready for more. And so more is sent. And then you send the dogs out further into the other, further reaches, outer reaches of your heart. And, you give more, and then you realize there's still more to give.
Yeah.
And you keep giving more. And you continually are having the things of this world worked out of you as these thought patterns that you've become accustomed to as a result of being in the flesh for as long as you have been, one by one get sorted through. And one by one get removed. Rodents are getting killed one after the other. But the targeted approach of finding and eliminating rodents, the foxes that are spoiling the vineyard, I believe God is trying to communicate today that is, he's saying, try me. I love how in the scriptures he says, try me, bring the entire offering and see that I don't open the doors of heaven and pour upon you a blessing, abundant blessing. I don't know word for word, but that's one of the verses where he's saying, do as I'm telling you to do and see how I respond. I believe if this is something that we practice, we will experience more of God. Jesus, I ask you that you would lower our tolerance for sin, lower our tolerance for the foxes that spoil the vineyards, and cause us to be fed up with these things that we have become complacent with, these things that cool and dampen our love for you, these things that sticking around, maybe they seem harmless, but they do not result in our eyes being more keenly fixed on yours. So I ask you, highlight them to us and decrease our tolerance for each of these things so that our hearts would be more yielded to you, given completely over to you gradually, thought patterns being rewired, old patterns stopping and new ones forming. So that over time, gradually, the house comes in order. You are honored and celebrated as you enter in, and you find yourself drawn in more and more with a gravitational that pulls as that zeal in us grows. Cause that to happen in us, God. So that we would live more fully for you. We love you, and I thank you that you will do this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. That was good, brother. Ow. Dang.
Zeal.
Anyway.
Zeal for your house is consuming.
Guys, we love you. Guys, ladies and guys, we love you.
Catch the rodents and the foxes.
Here's to catching the rodents and the foxes. Here's to 2026, the start of 2026. We love you guys so much. Thank you for being on another episode. We don't take this for granted. We love that we get to do this. So thanks for being here. Why are you laughing at me?
Moti will roast your intros and I roast your outros.
Moti will roast my intros and you'll roast my outros? All right. Well, that's the fruit of being a sister of brothers. That's what I get for carrying the team on my back. So that's a cross all bear. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.